Yes, everyone, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boy Big Dave as I bring you Tottenham's predicted lineup that I think Ange Postecoglou will select as Tottenham travel up to the Etihad to take on Man City, which is an absolute mammoth task. David versus Goliath. I would say Oil FC versus Renewable Energy FC. It's going to be an absolute thriller. Both managers have ideal philosophies, sort of identical styles of play, I'd argue. The only difference is Pep Guardiola's is possession until it bores you. Postecoglou's is possession with a purpose. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. And as I think we'll all understand as Spurs fans, we are walking wounded this weekend. 10 players out for this trip. And look, I think it's 9 injuries, 1 suspension. So I'm going to go through the lineup that I think Postecoglou will pick as he navigates this injury crisis to come home with a result for all of us Tottenham fans. So let's get straight into it. And the first player that I'm going to go with is the goalkeeper, and that is Big Vic Venom Vicario. Believe it or not, has conceded 8 goals in his last 3 games. Now, do you put that down to a decline in form, or do you put it down to the makeshift back line in front of him? Put down in the comments and let me know your thoughts on that. However, I would actually put it down to the latter, to the makeshift defence in front of him. Leaves him a lot more exposed than what Romero or Van de Ven did, and we're giving up a lot more chances than what we were with Romero and Van de Ven in front of him. However, what I will say is we are going to need an absolute highlight reel from Vicario if we are going to get anything out of this game. And as we've seen before, Big Vic can step up to the plate with some big, big saves. And my God, will we need some of them from him this weekend, tomorrow, actually. Also, let's get on to left back, and we are bringing back the big dog, Destiny Udogie. Absolutely love this kid, being absolutely brilliant since he's come in, showing us what a true left back really is, someone that's good on the ball and most importantly can defend. However, hasn't had any goal contributions since them with 2 assists when he first broke into the team at the start of the season. And I would say if he wants to take his game to that next level, if he wants to earn praise worldwide, I think he needs a few more assists to his name. And that's the only sort of area that he needs to be a bit more consistent in to take his game to the next level. To be honest with you, I don't think Man City will get any joy down his side whatsoever. I'm fairly confident when this guy steps into the team. Moving on over to right back, and we have stuck with Pedro Porro. Been absolutely brilliant this season, but he's really going to have his defensive skills tested up against Jeremy Doku. I do worry about this right-hand side because it's the side that we tend to leave really open. We tend to leave it exposed with Porro sort of being charged to get into the midfield and make up some numbers in there. So I really do worry. However, Pedro Porro stepped up against Liverpool, up against Man United and other wingers in this league where we didn't maybe think he would. So for me, again, we're going to need an absolute massive game from him, both sides defensively and going forward. Be very interesting to see how he gets on against Jeremy Doku, who's on absolute fire right now. Now, into the centre-back pairing. And interestingly enough, Postecoglou did say in the press conference when Ali Gold asked him about Eric Dyer potentially coming in to deal with set pieces, Postecoglou said no, and then went on to proceed with his answer, which I absolutely love. So that, for me, I'll be very surprised to see Eric Dyer in this lineup come Sunday. But I am sticking with my man, Emerson Royal. I think he was absolutely superb last week. You know, when it comes to criticisms of Dyer and Davies and stuff like that, you get an awful lot of excuses made for them. And, you know, sometimes, especially when it's Davies' case, oh, but he's not a natural centre-back. Okay, well, Emerson Royale's not a natural centre-back, but didn't put any foot wrong last week. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, looked comfortable in there. And that's all I ask when these players come in. You know, the sign of a good player is someone that can play in multiple positions, a bit of versatility, where they don't make them mistakes and don't have them excuses. And I think he deserves a lot more praise for his performance against Villa than maybe what he did get. So I'm sticking with Emerson Royale. And look, to answer Ali Gold's question myself, Emerson Royale proved last season that he's the best in the air, dealing with defensive set pieces and stuff like that. So I keep him in there 100% for sure. But look, going to be a true test this weekend with Haaland running off him, Foden running off him, Doku running down that side. Going to be a real test. Let's see how Emergo can get on. Of course, by the way, quickly, everyone check out his Instagram. He makes his own music now. Absolutely brilliant piece of music by Emerson. Didn't understand it, but it sounded, the beat was good and stuff like that. Now, moving on to his partner in crime this week. The other one has to face the Norwegian wall, Erling Haaland. And we're sticking with Ben Davies. And the only reason why I'm sticking with Ben Davies is because Postecoglou, I think, more or less alluded to when he went on to proceed to answer the Eric Dyer question, that he was pretty much happy with the back four. Okay, didn't do exactly everything they wanted. He was unhappy, especially with the second goal. And I understand why. It was playing scared. It's not playing the Postecoglou way, aggressive on the front foot, force people into mistakes. Davies dropped off, allowed Ollie Watkins to get on the ball, play that 1-2, and then run in behind him. Nowhere near good enough. And realistically, has been at fault for 3 goals in the last 2 games. So I really do worry about Ben Davies. Personally, I would bring in Alfie Dorrington. I know a lot of people don't want to hear it. He's only 18, blah, blah, blah. You can't play players in this sort of game. And look, I've also said that myself, sort of, Erling Haaland, it's going to be tough. Do you really want to throw the kid in there? However, I've had a reassessment of it, and I've rethought about it. There's never going to be a perfect, ideal situation to throw a kid in a game. Never is. However, we threw Tanganga in on the Jose Mourinho against Liverpool. Came out man of the match. Ledley King made his debut against Liverpool. Absolutely brilliant that night as well. So for me, I don't understand why we don't use Alfie Dorrington, but I do think it will be Ben Davies. And for me, I would say I want a massive game from him. An absolute massive game. One thing I will give Ben Davies is he is capable of stepping up and playing really, really well. I remember under Jose Mourinho, I think Jose Mourinho picked him up against Liverpool. And actually, Davies had a very good game that night. But the problem with Davies is he's too inconsistent. But he is capable of that one worldy performance. And hopefully, he saves his best for the biggest game of the season. Now, moving into midfield. And, of course, the one and only Yves Bissouma retakes his place. Very sad what happened to Bentancur last week. Postecoglou alluded to in his press conference how excited he was about having Bissouma and Bentancur and how it sort of, ruined his ideas or his plans. And he was thinking out loud when saying it. Brilliant press conference, by the way. If you haven't, please do check it out. But with Bissouma, I do have a small bit of a bone to pick. I thought he started off the season absolutely on fire, absolutely fantastic. However, of late, before the suspension, his performances have dropped. And I'm trying to work out whether, that's because he was on the verge of suspension and he was told, don't get involved in anything. And when you tell a player that and sort of restrict him, especially Bissouma, how busy he likes to be in that midfield, it does take away from your game. Now that he's free, hopefully we get the same old, or the Bissouma that we got at the start of the season back, because we're really going to need him in this game. Not only, to try and dictate the tempo and keep hold of possession, but he can also drive at players, run with the ball, take players out of the game. Going to be absolutely huge to have him back. And I just want him to up the level of his performances and get back to his very best. Now, moving on to the right side of the centre of midfield. Do you go with Højbjerg maybe to sit in and protect Pedro Porro? No. I think there's an argument for it. Don't get me wrong. I do think there is an argument for it. Especially, we do want Kulu running at Man City down the wing and stuff like that. However, I thought Kulusevski was absolutely brilliant in this role last week. Getting on the ball, driving at players. He's a big, strong, physical guy. He likes that side of the game. And for me, I think this one could be the masterstroke. We know Pep Guardiola likes to tinker in big games. But I think Kulusevski through the middle could be the masterstroke here. And the reason why I say that, big, strong, physical, works really hard out of possession. He'll get around that midfield, give us legs, try and turn ball over. But also when he gets the ball, very competent on the ball. But what I love most about him is he likes to break with it. He likes to drive at players. And for me, I think that could be a masterstroke. If we can get him on the ball, driving right down the middle of that Man City, get the defence, get at that back four. The only thing he needs to really bring now is the end product. Not enough assists or goals for the way he's been playing. But my man in the match last week, I thought Kulusevski, and I really want to see him in this role. Again, Now, moving on to his partner in crime, I have stuck with Lo Celso. Now, one game does not make a season. One swallow does not make a summer. So for me, when it comes to Giovanni Lo Celso, I thought he was absolutely brilliant last week, believe it or not. But where my frustrations kicked in with him before, why do we have to wait 4+ years to be able to see these sort of levels of performances? He hasn't done anywhere near enough in a Tottenham jersey for me to get off his back or sort of rethink my position on Giovanni Lo Celso. But this is the game where this will show us how good he is and how committed he is with the cause. I suspect we're going to spend periods, probably large periods, without the ball, chasing shadows. This will show me how much Giovanni Lo Celso really wants to be here. Will he muck in on that side of the game? Or is he only one of them players that come alive when we're in possession? But look, scored last weekend. Long may it continue. He's going to get an opportunity now to at least up till after January until Maddison's back, Bentancur's back, players like that. So for me, this is his opportunity now to really show the Spurs fans, I want to be here. And it'll show us how good he really is. If he can stand up in a game like this, then, I would say, look, maybe we have to relook at it. Maybe we have to try and get more out of him and stuff like that. Be a big test for Lo Celso, though. No hiding place in this game whatsoever. Now, moving on to right wing, I have stuck with Brennan Johnson down this side. Now, look, I think Brennan Johnson, for the first half against Aston Villa looked really good. Opening stages against Wolves looked really good. However, he has faded out of games completely, and it's not good enough. I get it. He's only come back from injury. I'm going to give him plenty of time, of course. I'm nowhere near getting on his case. But he's that sort of player with his pace, running at players and that. He can be devastating. Found a couple of nice balls last week, albeit offside and stuff like that. But he can be such a dangerous player. And I just want to see him demand that ball more, get on that ball and drive at the fullback, take players on. He can become a very exciting player. He can add that devastating pace that maybe some would argue that we've lacked down the years. He has that in him. And I want to see a lot more from him. And by no means getting on his back. I just want to drag that inner beast that's in him out. Let's hope he produces. Now, onto the other side. And I have stuck with the one and only fifth wonder of the world, sixth member of the Beatles, Gil Messi. Look, a lot of mixed reaction last week to his performance. And the way I'd sum it up is very, very tidy in possession, looked good on the ball and stuff like that. But I want to see more of that inner Gil that's in him, that inner Messi that's in him. Drive at players, take them on, play more devastating through balls, get crosses into the box. And look, we know Gil has this in him. We've seen it last year on the brief appearances under Antonio Conte before he unfortunately got loaned out. And I do think that element will come to his game the more he's given time. When it comes to Brennan Johnson, a lot of people say, he's only back off injury. But when it comes to Gil, they don't mention that. And for me, that frustrates me a little. If you're going to give it to one player, you've got to give it to the other player who's been out a lot longer with injury as well. And I think with more game time, with a run of games, he'll become even more devastating. However, he is up against Kyle Walker. He'll have the pace to match him, so that takes that element away from his game. And he also has the strength just to knock him off the ball. So that takes that element away from his game in terms of taking him on. But this will be a really good test for Gil, to really see if he has anything different inside him. And if he can come in and perform here, I think this could make his Tottenham career. It'll certainly give him a bit of grace at Tottenham, and maybe make people reevaluate him and say, like I'm saying with Lo Celso, if he does come good, maybe reevaluate and look to get more out of the guy. But it's going to be a huge test. He's not going to be able to, the size of his game, taking on players, a bit of pace and stuff like that. All that is going to be nullified by Walker. So it will be a true test to see what Gil has in him. Can he be clever with the runs he makes off Walker? Does he drop deep, pull Walker out of position? There's other things he can add to his game to become effective. So let's see what the maestro has in him. And now moving on to the man of the hour, the main man up front. If he doesn't score, Tottenham does not win. However, outside of Mo Salah and Jamie Vardy, Son has scored the most goals in the Premier League against Man City. So that is a good omen coming into this game. Look, I'll be honest, I think Son has done an absolute brilliant job this season. But when it comes to teams that play against low block or a lot of centre-halves that are bigger and stronger and want to get physical with him, I do think he sort of goes hiding in that aspect. Now, look, unlucky last week, couple of offside goals. But I want to see a bit more from Son. He's been sitting there waiting behind Kane to be the main man. Now's his opportunity to really grasp it, stand out head and shoulders amongst everybody else, and drag these teams through big games like this, like Harry Kane used to do. But look, I'm backing Sonny all the way to be able to do it today or tomorrow. I think he will bag a goal at least for us. He comes alive against Man City. But look, like Sonny, the rest of the 11, this is a game where legends are made. I would say to Spurs fans, don't be afraid going into this game. Be excited. We've got a lot of injuries. It's a true test of our squad depth, strength in depth. A lot of players that maybe, me and many others have had debates and arguments, etc. over. With a lot of them, some of them cause dividing opinions amongst the fan base. Well, now's their time to come out the right side of it, and get nothing but praise. These are games where legends are born. Let's be excited about it. Let's see what this Spurs team could do. I'd say any other game, you probably write Spurs off, but because it's Man City, you just never, ever know. Start the festive fixture period. Could we be the one to kick off that magical period with a huge shock? Let me know your score prediction below, but that's my first 11 to come out with a result against Man City tomorrow. Please give me your 11 in the comments below. Let me know what changes you would make and why. And let me know your comments on what I've said as well. I love that dialogue with all you guys, so please get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Also, if you could smash that like button, it is the season of giving, so that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. See you back here tomorrow at 1 p.m. for the pre-match build-up. Come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust. We never stop. Let's go.